what is the job of the teacher and what is the job of the student? And people were like, it's the teacher's job to help us achieve our goals and stuff or whatever. And then I'm like, well, it's the teacher's job to force the rules and coerce the students into conforming.
From Anarchapulco, Mexico, this is Anarchast.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. I was speaking really fast there. I'll try to slow it down. I have a great guest coming on. His name is Evan, and he wants to keep his... Hello, Evan. And he wants to keep his identity a little bit quiet, and he doesn't want me to say where he's exactly from, but he's coming in from the U.S. And I got an email from him a while ago when he was 13, I think, and he said, I'm 13, I'm an anarcho-capitalist, and I was like... You should come on my show. I don't think I've ever met a person who's 13 who describes themselves as an anarcho-capitalist. So really happy to have you on, Evan. And you've got some interesting views on the government indoctrination system, public education, as I call it. And we're going to get into some of that kind of stuff because you're right in the middle of it. You're in grade 9 there in the USSA. So the first question, Evan, I have to ask you is, how did you become an anarchist?
Thank you, Jeff. First of all, thank you for having me on the show. How I became an anarchist, a while ago, I was a neocon, or just a neoconservative for those who don't understand that. And how I would describe many neocons or neoconservatives would be those people who somewhat believe in the principles of limited government, and they do not really necessarily practice those beliefs in their fullest extent, or at least in consistency. I believe over time I've started to realize that these certain principles of neoconservatism are not on a consistent basis or application, and there are certainly better alternatives to this ideology of neoconservatism. And at that point, I used to be very like authoritarian. Like I don't know, like I was actually pretty authoritarian, I would say. I was, at one point I actually thought like we should, protect the people from cigarettes and alcohol and weed and all of that. And I remember talking to my libertarian friend, like he's more of a minarchist than an ANCAP right now, but I don't know. But he really introduced me to the philosophy of libertarianism, and he said you can't just control people like that. You can't use force to get whatever you want or for whatever public good. And I saw that after a while. To me, I think it really took like kind of a beating of libertarianism for me to understand it. But for some people, it takes more of it would only take one conversation with them to enlighten them. But for me, it took me a while because I used to be a huge Trump supporter, and I was like Trump 2016 and all that, and I would have been, Trump 2020 if I didn't do further research into this ideology. So yes.
That's great. So it's fairly recent that you sort of consider yourself to be an anarcho-capitalist, and you said that you kind of got into libertarianism first, which I think you're kind of defining as sort of quite free, but not total freedom, as anarcho-capitalists talk about. So was there kind of a, you look into libertarianism, and then you really kind of came to the point that you really consider yourself an anarcho-capitalist? Was there like a book you read or anything like that?
Yes, I've read a couple books during my time when I wasn't exactly an anarchist yet, but I read this one author. I actually talked to him on Instagram beforehand, but his Instagram is ANCAP_society with another 2 underscores, and his name's Jason DiMartino, and He he wrote a book called Veritas Libertas, or for you Latin people who don't, you know, pronounce the V that way. I'm just saying that for people who don't know. Uh, I read that and it talked about the social contract and it talked about objectivism or just objective ethics or morals, you know, and it used the phrase moral logicism a lot in there. I kind of got that kind of belief system and I like read that and understood that. And at the time, I was a minarchist. I believe there should be, you know, minimal government and I believe at the time, I believed that there should be some night watchman state, but now evidently that's changed. And yes, I read that, and then there's a newer, more definitive version of that called "The Road to Prosperity: An Anthology of Capitalism." It actually includes some writings by Adam Kokesh and Walter Block. And yes, yeah, those are some two good writers who were included in that book.
That's great. Both Adam Kokesh and Walter Block are past guests on Anarchast and speakers at Anarchapulco in the past as well. So very interesting. For a young person, I remember when I was 13, I can't remember reading any books like those. I think I was reading still like Lord of the Rings and that kind of stuff. So you definitely seem sort of advanced in your years compared to most people, especially when you think about a lot of the people in the school system. So you must kind of look around at some of the kids in public school and kind of wonder what they're doing, right?
Yeah, yes, I do.
So tell us a little bit about your experience well, it's kind of interesting. You kind of started as a neocon. I assume probably your family is along those lines. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, they are. They're still neocon. My parents are. I don't know how to describe them at this point, but yeah.
And do they know about what you believe now, and what do they think of that?
They. I don't know. They just have some problems with that. They. I don't know. I mean, they're not like. They're not exactly personally against. I mean, I don't know, but like they're more just political, or just politically against what I believe in.
Does it cause you any problems with your family, or are they just pretty much, okay, that's what he believes, and you're kind of like, yeah, if that's what you want to believe, that's fine?
Sometimes it causes problems. Like I don't know, my dad's in the military, and he'll like, he's gotten kind of angry sometimes, but yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. And you were telling me you don't really like the government schools too much. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your opinions on that and some of your experiences?
Okay. Sorry about that. I don't. Okay.
Is that a chihuahua? It's
yes,
okay.
Yes, I don't. Okay, if it's possible to edit this out.
No, it's fine. I love chihuahuas. So we're definitely keeping this in.
Okay.
I have 3 chihuahuas myself. So.
Oh, okay. Yep. Cool. Okay.
So some of your experiences of government education and
Yes.
some of your thoughts on it.
Okay. I'm gonna try to talk over that, but yes.
That's fine. Don't worry about it.
My personal experience with state education or state mandated education, as how I would describe it, it's certainly coercive. I've had like a lot of experiences. A lot of people I know have had experiences with the state mandated education system, I guess I could say, and I've told a lot of people that I don't want the state or the government, or I don't want school to get involved in my education per se, and they're like, that doesn't make any sense at all. I'm like, yes, I know that, and I don't expect you to understand that. And so because of that, people by default, a lot of people just don't exactly, I don't know how to explain it. They're just, and at that point, some people just like completely like stop listening to me and some things. But like I know many people who have like have had the same experiences as me, like coercive teachers, teachers who try to search people's bags or whatever, teachers who will indoctrinate or just follow their orders, I guess. I don't know. And it's just many teachers just, blindly carry out what the state wants them to do. And because of that, I think that's a huge problem that the state could possibly tell the teachers or the students indirectly through the teachers that, their constitutional rights are somehow not being infringed upon. And I just don't think that's the case, because, I mean, it's written right there in the Constitution. You can read it. They don't read it to you in school at all, ever. They don't read a single word from it. And they just say, okay, the First Amendment is this, except if you scream fire in a theater. And then I've questioned that, and then I've read it, I've done research, and I know that's entirely wrong. So, yes, stuff like that where they blatantly lie to students, and I think that's a huge problem.
Yeah, but it all makes sense when you think about exactly why it's there, right? Because you have the government, and it was actually Vladimir Lenin who said that, give me your child for 4 years and the seed I plant will never be uprooted. And basically what it's saying is when you're educating, as you say with the quotes, and I also do as well, kids who don't really know much better, especially when they're younger or even younger than yourself, or even around your age, they just don't know, they haven't been around very long. You start indoctrinating them with a certain propaganda sort of thing, that will stick with them for a long time, and that is part of the agenda. And so it's not very surprising that that's what the government uses it for. So for you personally, how do you feel about, do you feel like you're being forced to be in this? Have you talked to your parents about actually just getting out of the system, or do you find any value in it whatsoever?
I don't see any value in it at all. And I have talked to them about it before, and they're like, well, you gotta, get your diploma or whatever. And I'm just like, but I don't see the point in that, and I don't think there's an economic value behind getting a diploma, especially if it's coerced or forced onto you to get a diploma. Teachers are like, oh, you have to get your diploma, and then you have to go to college, and then get an education there, and then specialize under some whatever field of study, and then get a job like that, and then work till you die, I guess. I don't know. But
yeah, that's basically it. I think you nailed it. And it's funny because when I was in school, I actually finished school, grade 12, got my high school diploma, but I was around your age, grade 9, grade 10. I said to my mom, this is a complete waste of time. Why are you making me go to this thing? I could be starting up a business, or I could be reading on my own. I could learn the things I want to learn. And back then, actually, it was back in the 80s, way before your time. And I was just into computers. They'd just come out, and I was like, why can't I just be on my computer and learn how to program and all that kind of stuff? But my mom said you have to go, so I did. And actually, what I did personally was I tried to get 50% in every single course, just to make a statement. I'd aim exactly for 50%. I almost hit 50% in every course just to get the diploma. And I don't think I ever received it. I think they put it in the mail or something, and I didn't even care. I don't think I ever saw it, and I'd certainly never used it ever in my life. So when you're talking about what is the economic value of this diploma, it's basically zero. No one cares if you've got it or not. And like you said, you're just kind of wasting your time. So I'm kind of curious, what would you do if you didn't have to go to school? I will say also, but it sounds like you're smarter than your average college person right now. In fact, with just the knowledge of the Constitution that you just kind of briefly mentioned, you know more than Barack Obama, who's a constitutional lawyer. I don't think any of them read this stuff. They certainly don't understand it. So I think you're already advanced more than most people who've gone to college. In fact, you're more advanced because a lot of the stuff they know is just wrong.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I do a lot of reading. With actually, especially in school, at
least you're making some good use of your time. You're reading while they're trying to teach you garbage.
I've talked to people about school and stuff, and I've heard one person say that they went during their time in school, they they spent their time reading instead of actually doing the work and stuff, and that's kind of the case with me. But like sometimes I'll just be like, "Oh, this is interesting, I guess," and then I'll just like, "Okay," but one of the things that actually made me like emotionally or personally hate the school system though is like I had very bad problems with like OCD and stuff. I have like really bad symptoms with like whatever, but like I don't even use a pencil or pencils or whatever anymore because like the eraser dust and then all of that and the graphite smears really bad and it gets all over your hand. It's really annoying. And then I started using pens, and they're like, "Oh, you can't use pens or whatever." And I'm just like, "But I don't." It's as simple as that. It's just that those simple things that I don't know. They have such a huge problem with it. And then after that, like I was like, I don't like this. And then I now where I live, there's something called a well, there's like what is it? I actually don't even remember, but it's like some sort of plan or whatever where you can have like some sort of accommodations, and then the teachers just follow it or whatever. I mean, either way, regardless of whether you have it or not, the teachers don't even care. They don't even listen to it. Like an accommodation to use a computer for an assignment, for example. They're just like, you gotta write this though. I mean, it's like, I'm just like, yeah, but I like kind of prefer to type it, or maybe I could just like not go to school here and just like do this myself, you know? And they're like, but you can't do that. You gotta get your high school diploma. And I'm just like, okay, but like, why would I get my high school diploma for something that's like being like forced onto me and just like regurgitate things? And then they're just like, oh, that's not what it is or whatever. Like like an old lady with a cane, or I don't know. That's just a weird example, but still. But what was it? I don't even know. I'm trying to think. It's
Well,
annoying.
yeah, it's very annoying. And yeah, I remember I actually always hated writing. And yeah, it's so funny. You have to use a pencil. You can't use a pen. It's like, why? He's like, well, that's what the government says. It's like, okay. And actually, I don't even know if I know how to write anymore at all, like zero, because I haven't used a pen or a pencil except for to sign a contract or something like that, which I think is so stupid in today's day and age. It should be all digital signatures anyway. But I actually don't even know if I can write anymore. I haven't done it in 20 or 30 years. I've never had to do it. It's like everything they teach you is just pretty much useless there.
Well, if I had my backpack next to me, I'd pick. Actually, my backpack literally just has one folder with just a bunch of papers and stuff that I like keep kind of organized. Okay, and it's like, and then just a bunch of books. Like I have two programming books in there with Python that I read a lot, and I mark them with pen, of course. And I don't know, but like, and then I'm reading a bunch of stuff right now, so it's like I don't even really care all that much about that other folder that's in there. Like if I were to lose my backpack, I wouldn't care about my school stuff. I'd just be like, oh, I lost Civil Disobedience by Henry David Thoreau. Okay, well, it's like
That's great.
that kind of thing.
Yeah. So, have you? A lot of sort of anarchists say that they have difficulty when they become an anarchist, and their family doesn't understand them. Their friends think they're crazy. Have you sort of felt that as well? Do you have any friends who even understand the kind of things that you think about?
A while ago, had uh, I had a few friends, or actually, no, it's just this small group of people that I'm good friends with, but like some of those people were very skeptical, which actually that's not a bad thing. It's just, they just well, it's not even just skeptical. It's just that they're just kind of regurgitating stuff. You know, they're like,
Hmm.
"Oh, death in the streets," you know, stuff like that. Like I hear that all the time. Uh, Death in the streets, the roads and stuff.
The roads.
It's so annoyingly common. It is so annoyingly common. I can't even stress that enough. It's but they're all, you know, at the time, like I had this one friend who was neocon, I guess. Yeah, a lot of people are neocon. Neoconservatism is actually, I would say, is like one of the most prevalent ideologies in the United States. But yeah, I there's just so many neocons who just don't understand what they're saying and thinking, that they're just so incorrect that they just, I don't know, like, and they're inconsistent and they just don't understand. But they, I don't know. But this one friend, he was like a thin blue liner, I guess. I don't know. He was like the respect cops kind of person, or I wanted to say he's in JROTC now, but I don't think he is actually. But I don't know. But actually, which reminds me, those JROTC kind of people are really neocon. So it's like, yeah, whatever. But this one friend, like I was saying, this one friend in particular, he's he had like a hard time like understanding things at first, but now he's like a little bit more lenient. Like I don't know, like a while ago he would be like, "But we need the military to like protect us from whatever," and I'm just like, "But do we though?" It's like I don't think we do, or whatever. You know, better explanation than that, but
Yeah, it must be pretty frustrating. I'm sure most of our audience can understand as well. Just not being around people who basically are brainwashed, in my opinion. They went to these 12 years of government indoctrination camps. They actually did memorize and learned how to regurgitate all this information. Then they go home and turn on the television programming, and it's called programming for a reason. It's all propaganda, they're not, the one thing that I always say about the schools is they never actually teach people how to think, do they? Like where's the class on how to think? It's just memorize the founding fathers and memorize this and memorize that. And I think, it's pretty much done on purpose.
yeah. I'd have to agree once again that it's a huge issue. I actually remember talking about how it was like this school year they were saying what is the job of the teacher and what is the job of the student, and people were like, it's the teacher's job to help us achieve our goals and stuff or whatever, and then I'm like, it's the teacher's job to enforce the rules and coerce the students into conforming. And then the teacher's just like, okay, okay. And then the teacher's like, oh, what books have you guys read over the summer? Everyone else is like, How to Kill a Mockingbird, stuff like that. I'm just like, okay, well, I mean, I've read some Adam Smith, but and then my teacher's like, you mean The Economist? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, wow, I've never heard anyone your age read that. And I'm just like, okay. And then we got around to what are the students' jobs, and then the other students are like, oh, it's our job to do our work as efficiently as possible and turn it in or whatever. And I'm just like, it's our jobs to regurgitate what is shoved down our throats and stuff. And then the teacher's just like, okay. But before that, I also said it was a teacher's job to censor the students and stuff when they, think freely. And then she's like, yeah, I'm gonna have to take this off of this list. I'm like, that's a perfect example. And then the whole class is just like, I don't know what's happening here. I'm just like, of course you don't, because you're not taught to think. You're taught what to think.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you heard of unschooling, the term?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I doubt your parents would allow you to do it, right? But it's very interesting. And actually, just so you know, we have a conference called Anarchapulco. It's coming up in February. It's going to be our 6th year. And we every year have like a Free Your Family sort of unschooling camp there. So I don't know if you can convince your parents to go down. I'm pretty sure you probably won't be able to, though.
Maybe, I don't know, but
Give it a shot.
it's a possibility.
Anything's possible. But yeah, like obviously, like from my perspective, you don't need to be going to this school. You're learning way more on your own and just wasting your time there. And like, have you really thought about like just dropping out? Is that even an option, or do you
Yeah,
think your
I've thought
parents?
about it. I've thought about it, but it's not an option. It's not an option at
Yeah.
all.
Why isn't it an option? Will your parents like physically do something to you? Is that the
I don't
case,
know.
or?
Well, maybe. I don't know. It's like,
Yeah.
but like, I don't even, these darn teachers, I don't even have to be coerced into this stuff. And it's just, I just do it.
Yeah, that's the way education is supposed to be, right? Is you want to learn something, and when you do, you just go get a book or you find a teacher, whatever you want. But when you want to learn something, you learn it very quickly. When you're forced to learn something you don't want to learn, it's just a disaster. Yeah, you don't. At best, you just memorize it briefly and write it on your arm. That's what I used to do, and just pass the test, basically.
I actually remember one time we were learning about the Newton's laws. It's like the 5th time I had to relearn those because I kept forgetting. I was just like, I don't really care, or whatever. And then I remember going on Wikipedia. Like, I know that's not all that great. I mean, sometimes it can, but it's like whatever. Like, I just looked up like the Newton's laws and stuff. It was like literally in like 2 sentences. It like explained everything that the teachers try to explain in like I don't even know how long. It's just they can't teach it because I don't know. And it's just the fact that like anything that's state mandated, like in any way, it's just inefficient by default. I mean, we all know that, but it's like here's another example for all of you to just stack on top of your examples or even your personal examples. Here's my personal example, or at least one. It's so basically in my where I live, we have on Mondays we normally have early release. So it's like 1 hour off, and then they cut like some whatever amount off the day, like or off each period, and then whatever, and then you have the teachers complaining about how they can't teach enough or whatever. I mean that's not actually true. I mean they do just as much. Barely anything. So yeah, but so like my county is like okay, we're not making the state mandated like amount of teaching hours, and so instead of like I don't know whatever, they just slashed their free hour off every Monday, and I'm just like okay, like everyone was angry about that. I'm not even gonna lie. That was just a normal thing that we did. And then now we're just trying to, like my county's just trying to reach some number that isn't even useful or relevant at all. Like the teaching hours is not the amount of teaching or learning or education or whatever. It doesn't help at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I like how they call it early release, like you're in prison, which basically you kind of are. And yeah, so I hope, well, I wish you luck in getting out of there. I'm trying to think of any resources I can try to help you with, but, I felt the exact same way as you. I unfortunately went through another 3 more years that you're going to have to, unless you could find some way to get out of there. But I just want to let you know, and we're going to put this on YouTube. If anyone's got any comments, maybe if they can help you in some way or give you some ideas on what you can do to, just get out of that thing, because it's a total waste of time.
Yes. It's
Cool.
a waste of time.
Yeah. So it's been a pleasure having you on. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to talk about. Is there anything that you just had on the top of your head you wanted to mention, or?
I could talk about a lot of things for a long time. like taxes or whatever. But I don't know. Like for me, I thought I would specialize in the education system, I guess. I mean, I even actually from earlier, I remember we were talking about regurgitation or whatever. Actually, that reminded me of the preamble. They're like, okay, just recite the preamble. And I'm just like, okay, let's recite the preamble or whatever. And they even have us listen to some song about it or whatever. It's just a song of like, I don't know, like just imagine teaching prisoners a song about like how they're gonna be executed or something, and then they're just like happily thinking that or whatever. I don't know. It's not even that. I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. It's just
That's perfect explanation. It's like teaching prisoners how to sing a song about their own execution.
Yeah.
That's very good. Very good. Cool. Well, it's been a real pleasure having you on, Evan. I thought it'd be interesting to have on. You're by far the youngest person who's been on this show. I don't know if we've ever had anyone even close to your age. And great to hear your perspectives. And I hope that some people maybe reach out to you, maybe might know you or something or whatever, and maybe make some new friends or stuff like that. You're always welcome at Anarchapulco if you can get your parents to allow you to go down and that sort of a thing. So it's been a pleasure. So we'll leave it there. And if you like this video, please like, subscribe, share down below, especially share it with any kids who are pretty depressed in school or even suicidal, which many are, or just very unhappy because most are. Just share this with them. Let them know that there's other kids out there who feel the same way. And maybe we can get some changes going to free some of them from this basically prison system for children. So we'll leave it at that. That's it for Anarchast, show for anarchy on the internet. Peace, love, and anarchy.
Anarchapulco, it's so hype, I'm trying to tell ya. This the event of the year and best vacation ever. Ron Potter, Jeffrey Tucker, just to name a few. Get your tickets, you don't want to miss it. You should roll through. Talking politics to health and self-improvement to investing. So many things, not one thing. Learn how to live life unchained, yeah. 4 days vibing on the beach, time to connect. All about growth, way more than a conference. This is Anarchapulco, yeah. Let's go.
You ain't seen nothing yet.